Hello, everyone. Good evening, if you're from this side of the continent. So, welcome to this weekend called Masterclass. Today, I'll just be talking about. I won't be talking about how to do my job, but we'll be talking about how to design a career that reaches the global stage. Um, I remember when the team, Weekend Code team, Amamenta, they reached out to me just to ask me to have this masterclass, just talk about my career and how being recognized by the Institute of Internal Auditors as a top 15 emerging leader. And I was like asking them why this particular topic, but then they told me it's important probably just for me to create this awareness of how the IT audit career looks like. So happy to be part of this session. So, a little bit more just to talk about myself. So, I'm a tech mentor with Wecncode, based in Nairobi, Kenya, where my full-time job, I'm a manager, systems audit at CPF Group. CPF Group is a financial service institution that has it's a financial service institution, but also it has other subsidiaries, about seven subsidiaries that cuts across ICT, cuts across pension. Our core business is pension administration, so it's a core subsidiary, it's a core of the company. But then now we have insurance. So we have an insurance brokerage, we have an ICT firm, we have a property management system, property management company. We also have one that does asset management, and also we also have a foundation, and also we have a payment service provider. So from a day to day, I just lead the critical IT audit and assurance initiatives, and also just ensuring that across the group and all the systems that we have, providing assurance of the same to senior management and the board. Yeah, Praise talked about my certification, just about how I'm a certified information systems auditor. That's a CISA, and also I'm certified in Six Sigma professional. And also I'm a dedicated weekend code mentor, helping just tech talent transition into a strategic auditing role. So I believe that success in this field is about more than just frameworks, just in the IT audit role, and it's about strategy behind the career. So by focusing on a high growth roadmap, that's why we're here today. We are able to provide technical agility, and that's why today I just want to share some of the insights I've come across and the lessons learned across my career. Well, now talking about the achievement, I was recently honored, recognized by the Institute of Internal Auditors as a top 15 internal audit, as a top 15 emerging leader under 30. So I think within the screen here you can see I'm circled here in between. So with other 15 emerging leaders, that's in October 2025. And I really appreciate and feeling honored. And so for this session, it's just for me to share and highlight some of the exact lessons and pivots and skill sets that have propelled me for these from a local role and to global influence. So, just diving into it, why are we having this conversation today? If you look at the slides, so on my right, you'd see there's the World Economic Forum that they usually highlight the top risks, global risks, that affect just as globally as a continent. So, if you look at it, there was in terms from a short-term perspective, and they have the long-term perspective. You'll see, I want us to focus from the short-term perspective, we focus on the second one and the sixth one. So we have miscommunication and disinformation coming in there as number two and number six, respectively. Number two, and then now number six, we have the cyber insecurity. Then when you look at that's from a short-term perspective when you look at our continent, but then in terms of severity, but then if you look at it from the long-term perspective for in the next 10 years, you'll see that its information moves from number two to number four. And then now we have advanced outcomes of AI technologies where you've seen AI is quite growing. And then now we have cyber insecurity coming in at number eight. So why are we having this conversation once again? So when you look at the auditor's role, I'm not just talking about today, I'm not going to talk about just IT audit, even just for the auditors. The auditor's role is not something you sit down in class and then it's being taught. However, its criticality within organizations has come in where the auditor's role is positioned to provide reasonable assurance to the business. So we have the internal auditors, we have the external auditors. So where I sit in right now, I'm sitting in as an internal auditor. We are now providing assurance to the board itself and to senior management. And this role is a critical role where now, even for IT audit, being a career, being one of the careers under audit, it sits at the intersection of tech, technology, risk, business, and also just compliance. So these are some of the stakeholders you work in when you come into IT audit. And organizations are desperate for people who can speak all the three languages. So just to redefine that, I want to just encourage all of you that the auditor's role has come in at a point in time where, even as the risks are being ranked by severity globally, it's an important role where now, for the business, we come in as strategic advisors just to ensure that we're keeping as the business is growing, as the revenue is growing, as the business is going through market expansion, providing safeguards where from time to time we need to ensure that we're keeping the business abreast with the emerging risk and providing them with reasonable and assurance on how, when they are growing with revenue, that do we have the enough in terms of internal controls, are they robust enough? Are they mature enough so that they can mitigate the risks that the business is facing? So, for this role, it's important for us to know that it's the auditor's role has shifted, where probably it was being hyped, but then now to global visibility. That cuts across the various audit roles that we have. So for the audience today, I do know we have various levels. So we might have people who are starting in their early careers, who might be auditors or IT professionals just looking in for the next level. Then we have the risk and cybersecurity guys as well, people who sitting in terms of compliance. And then now we have the global aspirants. I guess probably from the title of the masterclass, there's also we have individuals who want to move from being local, and probably they want that global recognition. So the distinction here being, this is not about career positioning, it's not about job hunting, but then job hunting is more reactive, but then positioning is proactiveness. So the reason we're having this conversation is for us to move from that reactive point to being proactive, and how we can position ourselves in our various ways, from being our early careers or being an actual professional within the audit, risk, or compliance, or even cyberspace, and then by moving to that global aspiration. So let's get into the actual roadmap, the high growth roadmap, and this is talking about from my perspective. So first and foremost, I'd want to talk about it's about the from an entry level execution to a global influence, where I'll just run you through some of the phases. I've broken down my phases into four. Uh-huh. Thinking about it. So, influence being for me the ability to move others towards a viewpoint or action without using force or command. So, one of my key leadership styles is I believe that leadership is all about influence and inspiration. So in leadership, it involves leading without authority, where you're building trust, and logical persuasion with the teammates, with the team you have around, or even your colleagues, and then having that emotional connect. Dave, please assist to mute David. Thank you. So let's talk about the four phases of what has come out for my success. So I've divided it into four facets. So I'll talk about foundation, then I'll talk about value, then I'll talk about visibility, and then influence. So level one, now foundation. When I talk about foundation, for those who are starting out, who want to start out their career, or how I started out my career, I'll talk about how I started out my career, then we can merge all the phases. So I started out my audit career after campus, where I joined Deloitte. Deloitte is one of the big fours, global big fours, that provides professional services in the world. So I joined Deloitte here in Kenya, Deloitte East Africa, as a graduate trainee. So me joining Deloitte, to be honest, that was the first time that was the first time for me coming across the Big Four, because back then in university or in campus, wasn't aware of the Big Fours. So but then I hear for the Well, guys who do business, they're more familiar with them, and also those who are aspiring accountants, given that they're aware of what happens in the Big Four. So yeah, so I joined Deloitte as a graduate trainee under the risk advisory function, where under risk advisory, the team, the one of the key roles, one of the key activities you get involved in was providing support for external audit for the various clients that Deloitte had. So, coming in as a graduate trainee, audit has four phases. There's the planning phase, then there's the fieldwork phase, then there's reporting, and then there's follow-up. So, yeah, when you come in as a graduate trainee, from a foundational perspective for me, it was all about being under the fieldwork phase. I was not much involved in terms of planning or even in reporting, or even in like in terms of follow-up. But then now, in terms of for fieldwork, where I was being assigned tasks, first of all, there's you go through a program, being a graduate trainee program, you go through intensive learning where you are taught about some of the for the techies, for the tech participants. You're taken about how to understand the structure of databases, how to understand applications, operating systems, firewalls, like basically what you're going to be testing. So you'll be testing controls. So that's what we're calling the ITGCs, IT or Information Technology General Controls, and the audit basics. So you're taken about how to do a basic audit, where as part of audit, you usually create what we call the risk control metrics. So we were given, me and during that cohort back then in 2019, that's when I joined Deloitte. I was taken through that intensive program, and then I started being integrated into small clients. So started with my first client, then my second client. I remember my first client was an insurance, was into insurance. So that was one of the insurance firms in Kenya. So just understanding, first of all, how the client environment works, the IT environment works, and then now documenting and doing audit tests. So you get involved into just the fieldwork, actual fieldwork. But then now across the levels as you grow, so in terms of the audit career, when once you from graduate trainee for me, after I became a graduate trainee, also known as a business analyst, I became a senior business analyst. I was promoted to become a senior business analyst, where now you get familiar with the other phase of planning and reporting. So just to highlight what planning and reporting actually involves, planning would be when you get an audit client, you send an audit notification, you notify them that we are coming to do an audit, and then as part of that, you hold a kickoff discussion with them just to understand how their environment works. And this is done in conjunction with the financial audit team as well, because when you're part of an audit team, when you're doing audit as part of the Big Four, you're doing the audit as a team, not just IT audit, you're doing auditing, you're supporting the financial audit. And in the world that we are in right now, finance data is supported by systems. So organizations have financial system, financial reporting systems, which is important for IT auditors to come into give assurance on the same. So, as a senior business analyst now, was working with teams, like I was given a team of two, sometimes two or three. We're working together now, where now I'm helping support them from planning, then fieldwork and also reporting. So the team members can have entry level newbies, or even your the same your peers as well, depending on your specialty, and then now also reporting. So once you go through planning now, as you've done, after you got into a client, you've done the notification, and then you've done the planning meeting, and then the kickoff discussion, and then as part of fieldwork, you've selected the various applications, databases, and operating systems you're going to test. And then as you do the testing, you do your audit procedures. This is usually within a specific timelines. Then afterwards, you identify any exceptions. Exceptions is you document as audit observations or audit findings. So from these, you focus on, it's usually important to focus on strong documentation. We'll talk about later about some of the skills, sorry, an auditor needs to have. So once you have that good documentation, because audit conclusions are backed up by evidence, it's important now you narrow down these observations into a report. So that's what we call the reporting phase. So the reporting phase, you'd have a detailed report, and then you'd have a summary report. This summary report is now which is presented to the stakeholders. So you first have a draft report where you discuss with the with the auditee, which can be who can be the stakeholders at the departmental level, and then now the final report is presented to the board. This can be the board of management or to the audit committee. So I learned along the way now in my first couple of years that being in IT auditor, being an auditor is not all about the technical skills or how you're doing your audit procedures. Also now the soft skills are coming in handy because now I had to enhance my reporting skills. So, and back then I know maybe for those who pursuing degrees or your can be a degree or diploma that has units that has auditing, you'd always find that it doesn't mention much about the soft skill perspective, but then now you kind of realize now in the real world that it's important for you to enhance your soft skills, especially for written and oral communication. So that was very integral because now for IT, especially for IT auditors, sometimes we have very complex findings, observations. So we're talking about patch that a system is out of date, it's not patched. So you see, senior management are not acquainted with this technology. So you have to turn the tech into a simple strategic term that is more relevant to them. So sometimes you need to tie it to the company strategy or the company's objective. So sometimes you have to know how you document. So it was very important for me to build onto my soft skills. So from a foundation perspective, so just talking about my career. So at Deloitte, so after being a senior business analyst, um, after about 1 year again, got promoted to become a senior consultant. Now, as a senior consultant, you work closely with the manager, the manager being your supervisor, and now you even get the chance to work with multiple teams. You can, like, as a senior consultant, I had a team that is working on a client X, then another one working on client Y, and then you still need to merge you had your normal work to do, and then now you have to compile work from client X and client Y, and then still be able to be able to present the same based on the different timelines. It's quite intensive at that point. So you kind of start learning what I'd say juggling in between various tasks and different clients. And then sometimes the clients had different industries. You might be doing one in banking, another one in insurance, or even healthcare. So you always have to be on the go. So from a foundation perspective, now had at that point that brought in the idea of now even the need to focus more on even the certification. So even during that time, okay, the CISA certification I got when I was a senior business analyst. So that's when I did the certified information systems auditor, just to ensure that even from a foundational perspective, even like creating that confidence to the client that I'm able to handle the uh, audit work. So that's phase one in terms of foundation. So my encouragement is to you, if you want to get into the audit career from a foundational perspective, it's important to understand IT general controls, the audit basics, and audit is an interesting career. You can start from any point. Like IT audit might be field special for specialists, but then there are guidelines and frameworks in place just to ensure that you are upskilled for you to be able to get into this role. Then phase two was value creation. So for my career, so value creation, I started learning about value creation where now I had to map out how my work as an auditor and all these things I'm documenting and reports, shifting from just completing an audit to reducing risk and how it creates value for the business. So when you sit in, you need to understand that you can be an impact maker from wherever place you sit of the hierarchy where you sit. So as a junior analyst, I was like identifying exceptions. So I would identify that probably, we can use a case example, identifying that a given system is out of date and no longer supported by, let's say, the client is using an outdated Windows server. But then when you point it out as an observation and then you document it, you never feel you never know how the value it creates for the business. How much that observation or that insight can go a long way in terms of improving the business. So there was a shift from just completing audit and then now reducing risk. So presenting it and packaging it to senior management and informing them that you have this critical server and infrastructure that you guys have, and this server is out of date and no longer supported, so it is vulnerable to a cybersecurity risk. So it was important now to link IT outcomes to business strategies. So when pointing out an IT risk or an IT observation, it was important now for me to bring in the business strategy into play as well, where now was pointing it out that if you do not patch this server, or you do not have a server that is currently being supported by the vendor, then the risk of cybersecurity, and then if you're exposed to risk of cybersecurity, and this risk, if it is exploited, you might you're more likely to probably have a data breach that can affect your reputation. So when you say something and use such terms that it can affect the reputation of the business, now it changes the conversation, because now senior leadership, the CEO, wants to understand, because they don't want their reputation to be at jeopardy. So they want to just understand, wow, so you're trying to say that we need to focus on this item and probably giving it a rating that it's a high risk. We need to resolve it. So from that, you build trust with various stakeholders, especially for the audit career. So that's how I talk about now value creation. So you're talking about how the roadmap from for audit perspective. So we started with foundation, phase one, then now phase two, the value creation, where I've said you shift from just completing task to reducing risk and linking your outcome, no matter what hierarchy you are in, and to a business strategy. Then now we talk about phase three and four. I decided to merge phase three and four because they kind of alike, where now we're talking about how you achieve global visibility, or even just from shifting from local to global, where it's important to join global bodies. So from an auditor perspective, sorry. The global bodies, including the Institute of Internal Auditors, and then for IT professionals, we have ISACA. I don't know if you're familiar with the ISACA, but then it's also a global body, and then also they have the Institute of Internal Auditors. There are also other global bodies in whatever field you are in. You should join in that body, that can be a local or global body, where it provides you a platform where you'd probably share insights. You'd first of all, it gives you an opportunity to network with industry peers, especially in that area. So like the Institute of Internal Auditors allows me to interact with other internal auditors within here in Kenya, and also the ones who are outside Kenya. So even for you, I had Praise was talking about the GDG. I was part of the Google developers group back then when I was in campus. So where it gave me the opportunity also to be a developer. Yeah, I used to be a developer, but then that's a story for another day. Today, we're not talking about being a developer. So, as part of some of these forums and these bodies, mean, you're given an opportunity to just share insights across with your peers, and also it gives you like opportunity also just to 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 have to have a forum for conversations where you'd be able to solve other people's problems, or probably even just to start discussions towards professional development. And then with my key my keyword for today would be the influence. Influence part being where, as a leader, leadership is not leadership is about influence. It's not about the title. And then you start by also mentoring and contributing to global standards, where you've seen there's a shift in global standards. And right now, with the AI into play, we have AI, we have data, big data, and the likes, the big terms. It's important for us to contribute to the global standards and shape up what our local jurisdiction to internationally, to shape it up to what kind of future we want. Because even like for audit right now, we are looking into how we can audit. There's a framework for auditing AI, or even that came up, the AI framework, and also even there's this risk of data privacy that is coming up. So looking at the emerging risk, and we looked at the Economic Forum risk report, we've seen the way the risks are. There are quite a number of risks. So how we can plug in, and then we can create an impact for a better tomorrow. I'll quickly talk about the skill stack for 2026. And this skill stack can cut across multiple disciplines. But then, especially for those who are inspiring to be auditors, not just IT audit, there are four key skills that are very important. There's a need for risk-based auditing. So when you do an audit, we we normally don't focus on the whole area. It can be the whole population, but normally we take it up in a manner where it's risk-based, where when you look at a business, you look at the various business processes, and then you prioritize the high-risk areas. For example, the high-risk areas can be influenced by revenue. So you'd always find finance coming in as a high-risk area, can be procurement, HR because it deals with people and culture. The IT department, especially if you're leveraging on technology, there would be high-risk areas and focus areas for various businesses. We have cloud and cyber resilience. We've seen the way cybersecurity trend is here. For the next 2 years, it's here for the next 10 years. So it's a growing domain. So it's important for us to shape our skills and build our skills around this area. Cyber resilience and cloud. And cloud right now, we're talking about the public cloud, you have the private cloud. Very important. Then we have data analytics, the basics. At this point, you've heard about the conversation about data being the new oil. It's important for us to upskill in data analytics. That Excel, we shall look at the workbooks. Look, it's important for us to be able to analyze a little data, be able to know how to draw little pivot tables, you be able to analyze that data, like turn that data from that data set into useful charts that can be used to make informed decisions, especially for businesses. The senior management, especially senior leadership, they love charts. So you bring a chart to them, they like that. They don't like numbers. When you're talking about business communication, I talked about the importance of in your written and unwritten communication. So from a business communication perspective, how you communicate your oral skills, it's important for you to be able to articulate, especially complex matters into simple terms. And then even sometimes if it's a simple term when you're interacting with professionals, sometimes you'd find yourself like if you're a developer, and you're talking with other developers, at that point, you guys might need to use complex terms. So you might need to talk about how packages, you're doing importation and stuff like that. If you are a developer and you're presenting to the finance team and telling them about a feature you are about to add to their system, a module, then at that point, you need to talk, you need to talk less tech and then more business. So it's critical. It's a critical skill. So please, a key takeaway, like some of these skill stack, would be important for each and every one of us who would want to upskill and take up the audit role, or even I'd say this cuts across all roles because it's analytics. It's not all about auditing, the auditing domain only. It cuts across all, even business communication, even the cloud or cyber resilience, maybe the risk-based part where we'll apply to auditors. And some of the key certifications that you can take, it's important for you to take note that sometimes there's quite a number of certifications out here. You might not need to have many, but you need to be smart of how you get them. So for IT audit, it's crucial for you to look at the likes of CISA, CISM. CISA is Certified Information System Auditor. CISM is a Certified Information Security Manager. We have the CRISC, which is for risk professionals. We have CIA, which is crucial for business context, which is a Certified Internal Auditor. There are certifications in AI, artificial intelligence. There is ISO. ISO has quite a number. There's ISO 27001, there's ISO 22301 of business continuity, there's the ISO 9001. Yeah. There's the cloud fundamentals. We talked about cloud being a key skill, where my pro tip will be quality and relevance to beat volume every time. So it's important, even as you pick the certification, you need to pick a certification that is relevant to your line and also that is more applicable for various areas. Because if you're working in an environment where cloud has been adopted, it's important for you to upskill in different clouds. So, and we have quite a number of cloud platforms. So, for example, you can't be working with Google Cloud, and then probably you're pursuing a cloud certification in AWS, unless probably you're shifting from Google to AWS. So it's important just for you to know your domain and just to ensure that you're thinking about quality and relevance, when you pick up on these certifications. And some of these certifications have come in handy even for your career growth. I'd remind you that even for me, they came in handy just in terms of even shifting career because after I left, Deloitte, was in Deloitte for about 4 years. Then after Deloitte, I moved into a fintech, into a payment service provider. It's called Pesapal, where now I got the opportunity to be I moved from audit and then I moved to IT risk and compliance. Became an IT risk and compliance lead at Pesapal, where I was leading. So being a payment service provider, they have a gateway. So the gateway is used by merchants to make payment, online payments, and also the card payment. It was an interesting learn for me because through there I learned what is called the PCI DSS, the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, which is used for cards, your normal Visa cards or your Mastercard and the rest. So and I learned how the payment ecosystem works. It was quite interesting. So there are also certifications along the same line. And then after Pesapal, that's how I joined. Then I joined CPF. So certifications come in handy for your career. Not forgetting the foundational. You can have your foundational diploma or degree. Then we have the tech shift, where now the paradigm has kind of changed. So right now, it will not be, I won't be doing justice if I'm not talking about how technology has really changed, and especially in the cybersecurity space, where now we have AI has come in. So it's important for us to be acquainted with AI governance and ethics, where now there's a framework on AI, the ISO 42 something. So it's important for us to be, especially right now in this current age, that we acquaint ourselves with the current AI governance framework and standards that are there, and also AI ethics, because everyone from your mobile devices, even for your laptops, you're finding applications are deploying AI. There's the Chat GPT, there's the Gemini, and etc. Then you're talking about the cloud shared responsibility, where organizations and businesses are using the cloud. So, and then the cloud have a shared responsibility model where there are tasks that are for the cloud service provider, and then there are tasks that are by the entity. So, even these are also affecting how we're doing our audit, because when you're auditing a client or an organization that are using applications that are on cloud, we're talking about, yeah, it's important for you to understand how the cloud architecture is. Then you're talking about the cyber resilience frameworks. You've seen, I cannot reiterate this again and again, of how from the Economic Forum, Risk Forum report, cyber resilience is coming in. There's a lot of frameworks coming in, and even there's a zero trust framework that has come in. That's a conversation that's ongoing, and even many have implemented as well. So cyber resilience frameworks are, it's a conversation that we'll continue having. We've had people have moved, applications have moved from no passwords to these days you're fully biometrics, or some even passkeys. Yeah, so things are really changing, and we need to keep staying ahead of them. Then data privacy. Yeah, global data privacy registration, we're talking about from just the EU and the GDPR. And then we have from even from our local, in Kenya, we have a Kenya Data Privacy Act, Data Protection Act. I also understand there is in Nigeria, in Ethiopia. We're talking about, this is something that has really come up, and then we need to just understand how personal data is stored, the sensitive data, and even this affects quite a number of industries, especially the health. The health field is quite tough on this, and even from a financial perspective also, banking also, it's coming in handy. So it's important for us to ensure that, for this cybersecurity field, for those that are aspiring to be IT auditors, or those in the cybersecurity space, or even developers, or even just for anyone, because AI, cloud, cyber, data privacy, it's affecting all of these, affecting all of our industries. So for us to be acquainted with the same. So it's a shift that we need to take note of. So just to summarize some of these things from my perspective as an emerging leader mindset, um, I'd break this into three. So I'd talk about how, for me, the influence has been the the mindset of value over tasks. Then there's being solution oriented, and also just taking ownership. So from a value over task perspective, I always think about outcome and not just checking boxes. When you do an audit, there's usually an audit checklist, but then beyond the checklist, am I providing foresight to the business? So it's important for me to think about the value over just the task. And it's important to be passionate about what you do. I am very passionate about technology. I love technology, and from time to time, I'm always looking at tech blogs, tech vlogs, tech reading articles. Always want to know what's going on in the tech space. You can never get enough of knowledge. And then right now with the world being, we have a handheld device, just always on the go, just on the know. So think about outcome and not just checking boxes. And then being solution oriented. So as an auditor, mine from or even as a leader, being solution oriented is very important, where you don't bring a problem without a recommendation. So we're looking about at the world we have and how we can solve problems. Even most of the times where we sit, we have quick wins of items that we can address. So being solution oriented is a very important mindset for us to have. And then now, ownership. I cannot say more about this. This is self-explanatory, but then just being accountable for the for the tasks that you have at hand. So can be a high impact project, can be whatever project that has been assigned to you or task that has been assigned to you. Please always take ownership and accountability for the same. For the young professionals out there, quick moves that you can start today. And talk about how you can some 5 things you can take up if you're starting it. Maybe how you should start by mapping the first one, probably mapping out your career roadmap, where you are right now. One of the common interview questions when you attend interviews, you usually ask probably, where do you see yourself in you can be told, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Or probably now, I'm talking about 3 years. So if you're thinking about starting your role in audit, so you'd want to start from being a junior auditor and probably being a senior auditor. So junior auditor, where you are, you're just part of the team. But then now you want to grow from being part of the team to starting to lead teams, or even just being that person to inspire. So we're talking about how you can also you create that roadmap for the next 3 years and hold yourself accountable based on that roadmap. And always consider having an accountability partner. Sometimes you might have that you can have that roadmap and then you're not holding yourself accountable. So from time to time, if you can have an accountability partner, the better. That's why we do some of these mentorship just to ensure that from time to time, because when you're touching base with your mentor or with your coach, they're able to just inquire how far. Because if we start a mentorship program right now, I'll be asking you, if you tell me you want to upskill in cloud the next 1 year or 6 months. After 6 months, I'd want to know how you've upskilled in whatever that in the track that you have chosen for cloud. Yeah, and then just to know if there are any challenges or bottlenecks. Then identify that one skill gap. So you can do like a skill gap assessment on your end, and then just pick up on one high impact technical skill you want to learn. If it's data analytics, if you want to upskill in Excel, pick that Excel course. Do a crash program. Do a few tests. Then yeah, from that skill gap, after you're done and you're upskilling, you move from a beginner to an intermediate, or probably from an intermediate to an expert. Pick up another one, yeah, and you keep on growing. So it's an interesting thing to pick up. Then join a global community. I've talked about some of the ones that I'm affiliated to. I talked about the Internal Institute of Internal Auditor and ISACA. So connect within those some of these bodies. I know there is, for if you're a student, you even have the registration fees waived. So it would be a good one for professionals as well. You can consider, so that at least you go beyond your local chapter and you start creating impact in your various fields. It doesn't have to be in audit. If you're in HR profession, if you're an HR profession, there are bodies for HR. If you are in an accountant, there are bodies for accountants. If you are in finance, there are bodies for finance. If you are in whatever field you are in, medical, the doctors also have theirs, etc. Then start sharing insights. We have the LinkedIn platform that allows you to build a professional brand. So if you can have insights, please post them there. So if you get an insightful article you want to talk about, or you want to share, there's a thoughtful article you want to post, please, that's the opportunity for you to have a niche and also your global stage. So you step into the global stage from there. So please, you can always just ensure that you're building a professional brand on LinkedIn. For developers, I don't know if when I was a developer, I used to use Stack Overflow, where we used to respond to queries. So if those such platforms still exist, I know with the changing, there's a lot of change in tech. So I don't know if it's still there, but then like take it up there as well. Then number 5, very important, seek and offer mentorship. I'm talking about seeking and also offering mentorship. At various levels that we are in, you can seek mentorship for someone who's probably above you, or probably where you're seeing your aspiration. But also, you need to be intentional about seeking that mentorship. And also at the same time, you can offer mentorship. Where now, from where you sit, there are others who also aspire to be at the level you are in. So you should also be able to just have that growth mindset where you don't want to seek to you don't want to give back to the society and also contribute to being a contributor, and also to being, as you contribute as well, you're also in one or another, it's giving back. So those are 5 moves you can start making today, just to kickstart yourself from wherever level you're in. As I am wrapping up, I'd want to talk about my punchline, where I'll just talk about the need for building excellence locally and visibility globally. So, where you do not wait, you don't have to wait for perfect conditions. And for me, I'm a living testimony to that, given the global award, and that's why we're having this masterclass, the global recognition. That's why you're having this masterclass, where you build excellence locally and you build visibility globally. Where my inspiration being excellence is local, but then visibility is global. You don't have to wait for you don't have to wait for your company, or you don't have to wait for your institution to send you for a conference. Why not sign up for you for in where you from where you sit? Sign up to any, given the way the world is a global village. On the internet, you can get a lot of forums. Sign up to one of those platforms, write an article, make a great contribution, and then you not just become a lead, but then you become intentional. And then now, in one way or another, the conditions create itself. The universe will ensure that everything balances so that your visibility is seen. Because if you help solve one problem, then that one problem, when someone acknowledges that in one way or another, that goes a long way. And in one way or another, all of us are going to make an impact that matters. So for me, I'd say consider about thinking about how you build excellence locally and visibility globally. Um, thank you so much. I think at this juncture, that will be my last slide, and I hope I've been able to share insights onto one or two about my career and how what has made me become well recognized as a top 15 emerging IT auditor with a under 30. Yeah, and you can connect and contact me via LinkedIn when you scan that code.